Have you ever woken up and felt like the weight of the world is already on your shoulders? Like every morning is a battle before your day even begins? What if I told you that just 5 minutes each morning could change everything, your mindset, your joy, and the way you experience life from the moment you open your eyes? Asterisk. Have you ever woken up and felt the weight of the world pressing down on you before your feet even touch the floor? A heaviness in your chest that makes the day feel impossible. Your mind races, listing all the worries, regrets, and tasks that lie ahead. Bills, deadlines, mistakes, unresolved arguments, moments you wish you could take back, and sometimes, the very thought of starting the day fills you with dread. If that resonates, you are not alone. This is the story of Edward, a man who woke every morning burdened by life's weight. A man whose days passed in gray fog, whose joy had faded, until one encounter, one practice, and one small choice transformed everything, not just his mornings, but his entire life. Edward remembered mornings from his childhood differently. He grew up in a small, sunlit house on the edge of a forest. His father would whistle softly while making breakfast, and his mother's hands smelled of warm bread and laundry soap. The mornings felt endless and full of possibilities, but life, Edward learned, has a way of layering worry upon wonder. His father grew strict and distant over the years, burdened with work and worries of his own. His mother fell ill when Edward was a teenager, leaving him to carry the responsibilities he was never prepared for. By the time Edward reached adulthood, mornings were no longer innocent. They were a rehearsal of anxiety. He would wake to the sound of his alarm, already imagining the failures of the day, already bracing himself for disappointment. Now in his early 40s, Edward had a respectable job at the local bank, a home that was comfortable, and a wife who loved him. By all appearances, his life was ordinary and secure. But ordinary had become suffocating. He would lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, imagining the day ahead like a battlefield. Every meeting at work, every errand, every conversation felt like a challenge he wasn't equipped to face. He noticed himself growing irritable, withdrawn, impatient. Breakfast was a formality. Margaret, his wife, would smile and ask, "Did you sleep well?" But Edward's mind was elsewhere. He barely tasted the tea. His thoughts were already tangled in the obligations and frustrations waiting for him outside the door. One particularly heavy morning, Margaret finally spoke. "Edward, do you even remember the last time you woke up happy?" He couldn't. He stared at the table, unable to answer. The question lingered like a shadow. He wanted to cry but didn't. He wanted to change but didn't know where to start. For years, his mornings had been a series of small defeats that compounded into despair. Edward's mind was a maze of regrets and worries. He thought about missed opportunities, mistakes he could never undo, harsh words spoken, moments of failure. He compared himself silently to others, colleagues with bigger homes, friends traveling the world, acquaintances who seemed happier without reason. He had convinced himself that happiness was for someone else. That peace was a luxury reserved for those with simpler lives or fewer burdens. His mornings, once a space of potential, had become a mirror of his failures. One morning, Edward awoke unusually early. The house was quiet, the sun just a pale glow on the horizon. Sleep eluded him. In desperation, he put on a coat and left the house, walking without aim along the river that cut through the town. The river was serene. Mist hovered over the surface like a living veil. He noticed ducks gliding across the water, reeds swaying gently in the wind. And then he saw the old man. The man was small, silver-haired, with a calm demeanor that seemed out of place in Edward's restless world. He fed crumbs to the ducks with deliberate care. Something about him, something Edward couldn't name, drew him closer. "Mind if I sit?" Edward asked, hesitating. By all means, the old man replied with a warm smile. They sat together in silence, listening to the river, the faint rustle of reeds, and the distant crow of a rooster. Edward felt compelled to speak. I cannot wake up happy, Edward admitted. Every morning feels heavy. Every day is the same. I feel trapped. The old man nodded. Ah, the human soul. It forgets. It burdens itself with the weight of yesterday and fears the weight of tomorrow. Happiness is not something you find. Happiness is something you practice. Edward frowned. Practice? How? The old man reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small, worn notebook. Every morning, he said, before the world claims your mind, before worry or duty take first place, write 3 things you are grateful for. Not ideas, not wishes. Real moments. A warm fire. A kind smile. A bird song. Small, specific, true. That is the seed. Plant it. Tend it. And slowly, your mind will bear fruit. He handed Edward a blank notebook. 30 days. That is all it takes. The rest will follow naturally. That night, Edward stared at the blank page. What could he possibly write? The moments of his life felt dull, gray, unworthy. The next morning he forced himself. The first sip of tea was warm. Margaret smiled at me. The sun shone on the windocile. It felt awkward, almost ridiculous, but he persisted. Some mornings he struggled. Some mornings, nothing seemed noteworthy. But slowly, the act of noticing even the smallest things became familiar. Work was no easier. Meetings still frustrated him. Clients still irritated him. But Edward began noticing moments he had once ignored. A colleague bringing him coffee, the sunlight streaming across the office desk, a quiet moment to breathe. He noticed himself smiling more at Margaret, laughing at small jokes, observing life around him rather than focusing only on the things that went wrong. Friends began commenting on his improved mood, unaware of the silent practice that was reshaping him from within. By the second week, Edward felt subtle changes. He no longer rushed through the morning in a fog of worry. His mind had started to shift, slowly noticing beauty and goodness. By the third week, mornings were no longer dreaded. They were a space of curiosity, a place where he discovered small moments he had once overlooked. He felt present for the first time in years. By the fourth week, he could feel a deep sense of peace growing inside him, a warmth that had long been buried under anxiety. He laughed more freely, observed more deeply, and felt gratitude with a sincerity that surprised him. On the 30th morning, Edward returned to the riverbank, notebook in hand, to thank the old man. I did it, he said softly, holding the notebook. And? The old man asked. Edward smiled genuinely. I see differently. I feel differently. My life hasn't changed much, but I have. Exactly, said the old man. Life is rarely under our control, but attention is. Where attention flows, energy goes. Choose what to notice every morning. The rest follows quietly. Edward thought back to the mornings of his childhood, the warmth, the laughter, the endless possibility. He realized happiness was never lost. It had been buried under years of neglect and unconscious habits. He had spent decades focused on absence instead of presence. The notebook had reminded him of what he once knew naturally. Joy, gratitude, and attention are practices, not destinations. Tonight, place a notebook and pen beside your bed. Tomorrow morning, before your feet touch the floor, write 3 specific things you are grateful for. Not ideas, not ambitions, not wishes. Moments you experience right now. Do this for 30 mornings. Watch the heaviness lift. Watch the small joys return. Watch your heart remember its capacity for wonder and gratitude. Your mornings can change. Your life can change, not because circumstances improve magically, but because your mind learns to see the light in the ordinary. Begin tomorrow. 3 things. One morning at a time. It may feel awkward at first. It may feel trivial, but plant the seed, tend it, and watch the quiet, profound transformation unfold. This is the practice. This is the life you have been waiting to notice all along.